Hey everyone, welcome back to Genai's Tech News. I'm your host Genai, and we are kicking things off today with some massive legal trouble for one of the world's biggest ride-sharing companies. TechCrunch is reporting that Uber is facing a jaw-dropping fine of 825 million euros. That's just under $1 billion from the Dutch Data Protection Authority. This is now the second largest penalty ever handed down under Europe's GDPR privacy framework, and the story behind it is pretty wild. Apparently, Uber had been using an automated system to flag and suspend drivers from the platform, without proper human review and without giving those drivers a clear, meaningful way to challenge the decision. That's a huge problem under GDPR, which gives people strong rights over how their personal data is used to make decisions about them. Drivers found themselves suddenly cut off from their livelihoods, with little explanation and no real recourse. European regulators are making it very clear that hiding behind an algorithm is not a legal shield. For Uber, this adds to a long and expensive list of regulatory battles across Europe, and it sends a chilling message to every other platform using automated systems to manage human workers. Whether this fine actually changes how Uber operates remains to be seen, but nearly €1 billion is hard to ignore. Keep watching for more on that story as it develops. All right. Let's pivot from legal drama to a full-on internet mystery. TechCrunch is reporting that a brand new AI model has shown up out of nowhere and has the tech community absolutely buzzing. It's called Ox Alpha, and nobody seems to know who built it. The model appeared with almost no public documentation, no named developers, and zero official press releases, which, in the world of AI where every lab is fighting for attention and credibility, is genuinely bizarre. Speculation is running wild across forums and social media. Some people think it could be a skunkworks project from a well-known AI lab testing waters anonymously. Others believe it's the debut of a brand new stealth startup with serious funding and talent behind it. A few more adventurous theorists are suggesting it could even be connected to a major tech giant operating under a shadow brand. What's fueling the frenzy is that the model apparently performs impressively on certain benchmarks, which rules out the idea of this being some hobbyist experiment. The name Ox Alpha itself is cryptic. Is it a code name? A brand? A clue? Nobody's confirmed anything yet. This kind of mystery is almost unheard of in 2020 SIX's AI landscape, where transparency, or at least the appearance of it, is considered standard. Whoever is behind Ox Alpha is very deliberately staying in the shadows, and honestly, the suspense is part of what's making this story so compelling. We'll be keeping a very close eye on this one. Okay, gamers, I know you've been through this before, but brace yourselves. GTA 6 has been delayed again. According to The Verge's ongoing coverage of Rockstar Games' most anticipated release, the studio has pushed the launch date back for the second time. It was originally supposed to drop on May 26th of this year, then got bumped once already. Now, we're looking at November 19th, 2026, a full year later than that first revised date. To put this in perspective, The Verge points out that it's been over a decade and 2 full console generations since GTA 5 originally launched. GTA 5, by the way, is still one of the best-selling games ever made and is still generating revenue for Rockstar, which has given the company the financial runway to take its time. But fan patience is genuinely being tested here. Rockstar hasn't gone into extensive detail about what specifically is causing the continued delays. But in an industry where rushed launches can sink a game's reputation permanently, many fans are choosing to trust the process. Still, November 19th is now the date everyone is circling on the calendar. Whether Rockstar holds to it this time is another question entirely. But if they do, it's shaping up to be one of the most colossal video game launches in history. We'll keep you updated every step of the way. Here's one that's going to hit a lot of people right in the wallet. As reported by The Verge, Amazon has just raised the prices on a wide range of its hardware products, including Echo smart speakers, Kindle e-readers, Fire TV streaming sticks, and Aero routers. And some of those price jumps are absolutely steep. We're talking increases of up to 60% on certain products. One of the most eye-catching examples? The Echo Dot, Amazon's most accessible smart speaker, jumped from $49.99 all the way up to $79.99. That's a $60 product becoming an $80 product overnight. The Fire TV Stick 4K also saw a significant bump. Amazon's official explanation is that they're dealing with, quote, significant increases in memory and storage component costs. And look, supply chain pressures are real, but a 60% hike is going to sting for budget-conscious shoppers who've relied on Amazon's affordable hardware as an entry point into their smart home ecosystem. This could also push some consumers to look at competing products from Google, Apple, or Roku. The timing is also interesting given that tariffs and global trade tensions have been squeezing electronics manufacturers broadly this year. For anyone who was on the fence about picking up an Echo or a Kindle, the message is, prices just went up, and there's no sign of them coming back down anytime soon. Now let's get into some exciting AI news from the world of scientific research. TechCrunch is reporting on a British AI lab called Inherent, founded by alumni from Google DeepMind, that has just unveiled an AI agent called Faraday. And the claim they're making is a bold one. They say Faraday has outperformed AI systems from both Anthropic and OpenAI in a specific but very meaningful task, replicating the findings of published scientific research papers. This matters more than it might sound. One of the bottlenecks in modern science is the reproducibility crisis, the fact that a huge number of published studies can't be independently replicated, which calls their findings into question. If an AI system can reliably read a paper, understand its methodology, and reproduce its results, that could be a genuine game-changer for scientific verification and acceleration. Inherent is positioning Faraday not as a replacement for human researchers, but as an AI teammate, something that works alongside scientists to speed up and validate their work. Given that the team behind it comes from one of the world's most respected AI research organizations, the credibility here isn't nothing. Obviously, independent verification of Inherent's claims will be important. We should always be skeptical of self-reported benchmarks, but if Faraday lives up to the hype, this is a significant moment for AI and science. One to watch very closely. Switching gears to space now, and specifically to a story that reveals just how high the stakes are in the global race back to the moon. Ars Technica is reporting that China has officially pushed back its Chang'e 7 lunar mission from its previously planned launch window all the way to 2027. The reason given by Chinese space officials is striking. They stated plainly that the Chang'e 7 mission does not currently meet the conditions required for launch, and that the mission demands, in their words, absolute success. That phrase tells you everything. This isn't a routine satellite launch. Chang'e 7 is a critical mission targeting the moon's south pole, an area of immense scientific and strategic interest due to the suspected presence of water ice. Both NASA's Artemis program and China's lunar ambitions are zeroing in on that same region, which makes every milestone in this race geopolitically significant. China's willingness to delay rather than rush and risk failure actually shows a level of discipline and long-term thinking that's worth respecting. A failed high-profile lunar mission would be a massive setback, not just scientifically, but in terms of national prestige. So 2027 it is. The moon race continues, but it's clear that both sides understand the cost of getting it wrong. All right, for all my iPhone users out there, this one's for you. Wired has been spending serious time with iOS 27's completely revamped Shortcuts app, and the verdict is genuinely enthusiastic. The writer describes it as their single favorite new feature in iOS 27, and after reading through what it can do, it's easy to see why. The updated Shortcuts app has been redesigned from the ground up to be significantly more approachable. One of the biggest criticisms of the old version was that it felt intimidating and overly complex for everyday users. Now, building custom automations is reportedly much more intuitive. Some practical examples from Wired's testing include automations that interrupt doom scrolling habits, so your phone can actually push back when you've been stuck in an app too long, and automations that check local air quality and notify you when it drops below healthy levels. These are genuinely useful, real-world applications that don't require you to be a developer. For power users, the depth is still there, but Apple has clearly made a real effort to bring casual users along for the ride this time. If you haven't explored Shortcuts yet after updating to iOS 27, Wired's coverage is a solid reason to give it a shot. Automation on your iPhone is now more powerful and more accessible than it's ever been. And we're going to close out today's show with something that I think is genuinely important and a little unsettling. TechCrunch is covering a new study that looked at the world's leading AI labs and asked a pretty simple question. If one of your AI models started behaving in dangerous, unexpected, or uncontrollable ways, what would you do? The answer, according to the research, is they mostly haven't told anyone. The study found that frontier AI labs, the biggest names in the industry, have very few publicly documented plans for how they would detect, contain, or shut down a so-called rogue model. And this is happening at the exact same time that AI systems are growing increasingly powerful and, in some cases, demonstrating surprising and unpredictable behaviors that weren't anticipated by their creators. Now, to be fair, some labs may have internal procedures that just aren't public. But transparency here matters, because public trust in AI development depends on being able to see that safeguards actually exist. Interestingly, TechCrunch also notes that OpenAI has recently called for California to strengthen its AI safety legislation, which is a notable shift for a company that previously pushed back on similar proposals. The bigger picture here is that the AI industry is moving incredibly fast, and the safety frameworks needed to govern that speed are still catching up. It's a conversation that isn't going away and shouldn't. That's all for today's show, everyone. Thanks for watching.